How's everybody doing? So good. You sound like you're so awake and super ready. So have you guys been liking the Origin series so far, learning a little about the Enneagram? Let me just gauge, how many of you actually know what the Enneagram is? Decent amount. Good job. How many of you know what your type is? Most everyone else. Okay. Cool. So, I can skip maybe through some of the, backgroundy kind of stuff. Just checking. You know when you, pull up your notes, but then, they're not really there? Yeah. Hold on a second. Pause. Okay, so if you don't know, my name is Shelbi. Like Beth said, I'm the kids pastor here at the church, so I work with kids on the reg. So you'll probably experience that at some point tonight, I'm sure. I do need participation though, and I'm not really afraid to wait for it, so I might repeat this. Oh, good job. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared. If it's not actually engaged, then I'm going to do it again, so maybe try it the first time. It'll be great, I promise. Saying words, you're going to love it. Okay, so things about me. I love Jesus. That's, a good one to start with, I would say. I also really like bacon. Most of you know that probably already, but I really do like bacon. It's, sad when there's not bacon in the sandwich or on the salad. I mean, sometimes I eat salad, so if there's not bacon in it, I don't really want it. But I am willing to try just about anything once, but I will ask you 1,000 million questions about it before jumping in. So if you invite me to something, I'll be like, yeah, totally, I love that idea. Let's do that. What do I wear? Cool. When are we coming home? Excellent. And how are we getting there? Oh, cool. Great. So a little bit of a questions master because I'm curious, but also my brain just goes in 50 million directions. So, and I am basically, I feel like a chaos tornado in a lot of places in my life. So I have a destruction path, you can tell where I've been in our apartment. You can tell where I've been in my car. My office is never organized. You just close the door. J.O. doesn't need to see that. He probably doesn't want to see it. It's great. The kids prep room back there, I am not in charge of organizing it. You can thank Kinsey for its organization skills. Go Kins. Who has to put up with my lack of organization on the reg, but it's fine. I like to say things really weird. You'll probably notice that, and I don't know that I do it anymore. There's certain words that I've just started saying weird, and then, the other day I said library, just because it's really funny, and it annoys people, so it's kind of funny to me, and then somebody's like, library, yeah, library, so sorry, I think it was Syra. It's just in small group, it's fine. It was just yesterday, I remember now. That's just a little bit about me. I'm the Enneagram 7 that's going to be speaking to you, but are there any other Enneagram 7s out there tonight? Yes, sir. So proud of it, rocking it. Excellent, good, I like it. Okay, then that means we are among friends. It's good. Okay, so here's what I don't want. I just want to encourage you guys that yes, I'm talking about the Enneagram 7. Yes, I'm talking about the Enneagram. I want to also be willing to yield to whatever the Holy Spirit has as well. So I just don't want to see you disengage because you're not a 7 and you're like, that's not me. Okay, if you're an administrative person, yeah, we maybe don't have a lot of the same qualities, okay? But it's okay. Maybe somehow you're impacted by a 7 in your life. So either maybe you have a 7 or being a 7, I have access to 4 other numbers as well. So I can have a wing, and I'll explain all of that later. But I have lots of different ways that I might be similar to you, right? We're all obviously similar in some ways, but if you're a 5 or a 1, I'll be talking about those a little bit as well, because those are pretty directly related to a 7. So just stay tuned in. Maybe there's something God has for you that just you weren't expecting. So let me start. Okay, I have to do the technology. I'm going to be so good at it, guys. I did it. Okay, good. Okay, so this half is me preparing for this message today. This half is how my brain functions so that you're well prepared for what's about to come at you, okay? This one, please leave me alone. I've got a week's worth of work to do in 3 hours because I have the time management skills of a carrot. Okay? It's accurate. Nothing gets done unless it's the last minute, you know what I mean? Okay, and then this is kind of what's going on inside of my brain the majority of the time. Asking a 7 what's going on in their head. My mind is like an internet browser. 17 tabs are open, 4 of them are frozen, and I don't know where the music is coming from. Okay, so prepare yourself for all that is to come, okay? And maybe just give some grace. That'd be really nice, too. So, my journey with the Enneagram, Kinsey actually told me about the Enneagram for the first time, and her family had started going through it, and I was like so fascinated. I love personality tests and things that kind of help me better understand the inner workings of my brain. It's very helpful to have extra help to do that. And for about a year, I actually tested and identified as a 6. So I was like, yeah, that sounds right. Sure, all those things, absolutely. So I kind of stayed in that vein for quite a while, like, oh yeah, I'm a 6 and these things, and that kind of makes sense. And then I was in a car with an 8. You'll understand that next week. And they're called the Challenger, aptly named. And not like, I love 8s. Like I have a decent amount of really good friends that are 8s. Well, I mean like 2. It's this decent. And she's like, I'm telling her all about my trip to Ireland, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just like leaned into my 7 wings so hard. I was just like, yes, let's do anything and everything we want, and I'm here by myself, so I can do whatever I want. It's great. And at the end, she's like, are you like sure you're a 6? I'm like, yeah. So she starts asking questions like, what's your biggest fear? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like a lot of things. I can't narrow that down. She's like, yeah, I don't really know that you're a 6. I'm gonna venture out and say maybe you're a 7. And I'm like, excuse me? And as a 7, I really don't like being told what I am and what I'm not, or what to do, or anyone feeling like they're controlling me. So I was like, no, I know. I talk about the Enneagram all the time and how I'm a 6. How can I be a 7? That doesn't even make sense. So I had to do my own research. I had to dive in, and it was actually a podcast that I listened to that kind of helped me understand. I read The Road Back to You, which is a really great place to start for the Enneagram, but that didn't really help me decipher. It was in a podcast that I was like, he just described me, and that makes so much more sense. So if you, let's see, I don't know where I put I'm going to pretend I know what our slides orders are. Yep, it's going to be great. I'm going to give away stuff. Never mind. So I'll show you the diagram and just see. Okay. So I was challenged by an 8, and then I had to do my research, figured it out. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm a 7. Holy cow, I didn't know that I was a 7. But just a side note and a piece of that was I didn't really have the confidence to be like, oh yeah, I'm a 7. I saw myself in kind of a different light, in that like what my inner thought life was somehow my truest identity. But in going through the Enneagram and seeing that I was a 7, I was like, I had to give myself permission to be a 7, because 7s kind of seem fun and like optimistic, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not optimistic all the time, guys. My brain says all the mean things, and then my mouth says nice things. So I don't know. So it took me a minute, and then once I leaned in, it was like I was given permission to be the fullness of who I am. And I'm not saying that the Enneagram is not Jesus, okay? So Jesus is obviously the answer. Jesus is the one who gives us our identity. But this is a tool that really allowed me to basically have permission to be myself, to enter into the fullness of who I am and just release that in the world, because sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes it's a lot. So the Enneagram was a game changer, but it's not your identity. It's a tool aimed to help you grow in awareness and transformation. It's a personality assessment tool that helps you kind of understand why we do the things we do. So we kind of all know that. Most of us raised our hands about the Enneagram. So Jesus is not the Enneagram. And Jesus, not the Enneagram, is the answer to the real, lasting, and meaningful change. So if you're looking for change in your life, if you're looking for identity, Jesus is that. This series is just trying to give you some tools for all the stuff that we're doing here, right? Like, he's just kind of trying to help you out a little bit to understand how you work and why you do what you do. So, okay, I'm going to go into the triads because I was going to explain a good amount, I think. Oh, I did it. Okay, so if you're in the heart triad, this is like your processing centers. So if you haven't landed on your spot, then these might help you out. I'm going to talk predominantly about the head triad, but if you're 2, 3, or 4, you're operating mostly in the feels, right? A lot of times you're operating out of your heart, making decisions out of your heart. Threes look different, but I can't explain that right now. If you're in the gut triad, this is like intuition, but also like body, like you respond with your body. We've learned about 1 so far. You guys are going to learn about 8 and 9 in a little bit. But we're talking about the very last one of the head triad. And this is that our thinking center is basically just the brain, right? We're going to overthink, overanalyze. When I say that many tabs are open in my brain, you have no idea what it's like inside of my head. There's like literally noise coming from everywhere. I'm like, I don't know how to turn that off. Only Jesus can turn that off. So our emotional struggle is going to be fear. It's going to show up a lot of times as anxiety. And a 5 is going to try to research the things that are causing them to be anxious and understand them, and that's kind of how they have power over them. A 6 can sometimes just kind of sit in it, like they're just coming from every angle, so they can't really do a whole lot about it, so they're just like, yeah, that's what's happening. And a 7 is going to run from it. Like, we're the escapees. We're pretty good at it. We've learned over the years. So we do overthink a lot. Analysis paralysis, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's when I have 1,000 million questions, and if they're not answered, I don't know if I can do it. Can I do that thing? I don't know. I've thought about it in these 12 different ways, and here's how it leads to death. I think that's bad. I don't think that I should do it. In kids ministry, it's like, don't run, that you could die. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, I mean, I took some liberties, but like if you ran into each other and you both bonked your heads and then you split your head open, like it'd be so bad. Let's just not do that. They just want to have fun. I get it. It's fine. So what's also interesting about a 7, before I jump totally in, is that, because I like to have the diagram up, so a 7 actually has 0 access to the heart triad. So a lot of other types, every other type has access in one way or another. Meaning, so if I'm a 7, I have either the ability to have an 8 or a 6 wing. If you're out there telling people you're a 7 with a 2 wing because your top 2 results were 7 and 2, that's not right. People are like, that's cute. No, that's not how that works. So your wing is going to be something that's right next to you, and your wings can actually change your whole life. I don't know if that's something that you guys knew already, but like I swing into my 6 wing, I would say a lot. But I have access to the 8 also. Different seasons and different places of my life, I'll swing into the 8 wing. So I have access here. But in health, I'm going to go to a 5. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, what that looks like. But in health, I'll go to a 5. And in unhealth, like in stress mode, I'm going to go to a 1. So a 7 is basically, let me see if it's on here. I think it is. This is a 7's brain. Everything is awesome. Usually. We're usually like, yeah, everything. Let's do everything. Just try everything. Let's try. I can do that. I can do that. And I can do that. I can probably do that. We're overly optimistic about time, hence late all the time. I can do probably all of those things in 15 minutes. That sounds right. Super can do that. Super. So we go from this, and then we go into our stress mode. We're going to go, like, I go from, like, everything is awesome to, like, why did you put that one thing right there? Why is this one? That's not what we do. It can happen, and it can happen in a moment. Stress mode, I like strive for perfection, things like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But so, welcome to the Enneagram 7 goodness. I'm going to tell you about our core fears, core desire, core weakness, and the message that our heart longs to hear. So, core fear is being deprived, trapped in emotional pain, limited, or bored, missing out on something fun. We are like the FOMO extraordinaires is what I put. FOMO, yeah, that's real. So we don't want, this is why we escape, right? So when we experience the fear, we're like, I don't really want to deal with that. What's over here? What's something shiny in this direction? So it's kind of like, this represented it well to me. It really did. Really willing to draw 25 cards instead of experience that emotional pain, you know what I mean? It's fine. Okay. So our core desire, I'll keep going on these because they're funny too. I would not miss it for the world, but if something else came up, I would definitely not go. We're looking for the fun. It's not nice. I'm not saying it's nice. This is like unhealthy 7s, right? I wouldn't do that. 7's trying to find a show to fall asleep to that doesn't cause FOMO. This is literally my life. I'm like, I need to turn on a show that I don't want to watch. If I haven't seen it, I'm going to need to see it. What can I... The Office? I might want to watch that. So I can't take a nap on the couch without finding a TV show I don't mind falling asleep to. Accurate. I just like Loki, so that's why I put that one on there. Which party are you going to tonight? Type 7's trying to figure out the most pop-in option. That entirely depends on the rest of the information you're about to give me. Those questions that are like, what are you doing later? I'm like, why? Do you have something? What do you got? Give me that information before I tell you if I'm totally free or not. Commitment, it might be hard, I don't know. Okay, so core desire, being happy, fully satisfied, and content. And then our core weakness is going to be gluttony. So basically, wanting to do all the things. We don't want to feel that emptiness that's inside. And having an insatiable, that's just a big word that's in there that I like to say so I sound smart, an insatiable desire to fill yourself up with experiences and simulation in hopes of feeling completely satisfied and content. My calendar looks a lot like this, so I can tell when I'm not in a healthy space or I'm avoiding something. I look at my calendar, I'm like, I don't even have drive time in here. What was I thinking? My entire week is full. I don't have a night off. I can kind of tell okay, I probably need to slow down. What am I not processing or dealing with at the moment? And then our core longing is you will be taken care of. So, so your core desires, your core fear, your core weakness, these should be what you're basing your type off of. If these hit home for you, then that's your type. You're not trying to use characteristics or what somebody else looks like, if that makes sense, to determine what type you are. It's going to be based on the core desire and fear and weaknesses and the message that your heart longs to hear. So this is where you find your true type. And then, let's see. Okay, so then there's I'm going to tell you the characteristics of a 7, but before I do that, just know that a lot of other types can show up in the same way. There's, for instance, if you're an administrative type, we'll call it a 6, maybe in a 1. You can both show up administratively, want things done a certain way. You have a lot of things planned out. 1 has that because they want to keep things running right. They want things to be good, and they want to follow the way that things should be. 6s are trying to maintain security. So in order to have that security, they have planned everything out. Does that make sense? So you can have the same qualities or characteristics of someone, but be a completely different type. So that's important to know when you go through any sort of characteristics. You guys might identify with some of these and not be a 7, and that's totally fine. And then you also could be, if you are a 1, you go to 7 in health. If you're a 5, you go to 7 in unhealth. So the unhealthy qualities of a 7 would be what shows up. Okay, so characteristics of a 7. You're maybe enthusiastic, versatile. I just call that pivot, pretty good at pivoting. That's how I feel. Sees innovation and endless possibilities everywhere. Jovial, aka childlike. Not me, I'm never like that. Future-oriented and adventurous. Literally 7s are I'm planning this adventure. I'm so excited. And the anticipation has built because you're I get to go on an adventure. And then you're in it. I remember getting to Ireland and I'm I have to leave in 6 days. It's so sad. Yeah, that's very 7 of me to do that. If I was in a healthy space, maybe I would have been a little bit more, I jumped out of that real quick. But it's easy to be anticipating the next thing. And 7s are looking always at that next thing. It could even be something as simple as, I just got some sad news on the phone. I'm going to go get a coffee because that always cheers me up. That's a very 7 thing to do. To avoid that pain, I'm going to go do something that kind of pulls me out of that slump. 7s long for complete freedom. Always longing for more. We're maybe a little scattered. I don't know what that means. Escapist. Fearful of missing out. We talked about that. And then here's things for me that I put on here. I added to this list. This is a lot of this stuff comes from what we teach in our growth track. But then I added my own stuff. So if this isn't you and as a 7, it's me as a 7. And that's fine. I'm an overpacker. I literally can go one night somewhere and I bring as much of what I own as possible. I don't know if we're swimming. I don't know if it's going to get cold and I'm going to need a coat. I don't know. I must be prepared for all things because I don't want to be caught in a moment where I don't have everything I need to feel satisfied and content in that moment. Does that make sense? So if I pack to go somewhere for a night, almost everything I own is in that thing. When I house sit, I literally I don't really have a bag big. I'm just going to throw my clothes in a garbage bag because I don't want to have to make those decisions right now, and I need every option possible. So, entire wardrobe, get in the car. It's fine. Why do I have to do that tonight when I get out of here? Okay. Sevens are actually problem solvers because of that future orientation and how fast our brains are moving on a continual basis. And we're messy car havers. I don't know if everybody that's a 7 is a messy car haver, but I definitely am. But I have everything for any given adventure, okay? I have my swimsuit in there. I have 2 folding chairs. I have my hammock in there. I don't lean very strongly into my 6-wing because I don't have like an emergency kit, but I have fun things to do. So if I'm waiting for a tow truck, I got all the entertainment necessary and I will not be bored. And I put on here that this really like solidified for me or helped me understand that I was a 7, that I hate sad endings to movies. I detest them. I am mad if it ends bad. And it's like this like, oh, this movie's been cute. Wait, what? What's happening? No, they're gonna come out of what? And I'll just get so mad at the end if it ends bad or makes me cry. I don't really like crying very much, but I'll get so mad at it. So I don't even watch movies with animals in it because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be mad if that animal even just gets like mean words spoken to it. I'm not watching it, no. Oh, the protagonist is an animal? No, I can't watch that. Literally asked my dad trying to watch, I think it was Pete's Dragon, the like live action one. I'm like, Dad, am I gonna cry? He's like, no. He has no idea. I'm like, are you sure? Like nothing bad happens to the dragon? He's like, no. First of all, horrible choice to ask my dad any of those questions. Second of all, super cried and was so mad at him for a very long, you don't get to choose anything ever again. So, whatever, it's fine, Dad, forgive you. Okay, so these are the different wings for a 7. If you haven't landed on one, there's the wing, 7 wing 6 is the entertainer, endearing, responsible, endearable, that's not a word, outgoing, relationship-oriented, playful, childlike, and anxious. Yeah, that's real. And then a 7 with an 8 wing is the realist. They are more free, passionate, adventurous, strong, seek intensity, are leaders, quick-minded, and creative. So if you are a 7 and you don't know your wing, that can maybe help you out. So I just wanted to put this back up here just to talk a little bit again about the arrows in terms of where you can go with stress and with growth or health, if you want to call it. So we'll start with the good part, health, right? So we go to 5, which would mean we're able to slow down. As you can tell, I talk fast, I move fast, it's kind of just a thing. So slowing down in general is sometimes rough. So we're able to slow down if you're going into that growth pattern to 5 right here. 5s, a lot of times you're going to pull from the positive sides of 5. So you're going to be a little bit more focused, present, instead of constantly thinking about the future. You can kind of sit in the present. You can quiet your mind to draw out more creativity and depth, experience each moment, dive into topics that you're more interested in. So like do maybe the research instead of, a lot of times 7s are like, you're like, what's it called? When you know a little tiny bit about a lot of things. Yeah, jack of all trades, but only a tiny bit of a jack of all those trades. You're like, this is interesting and fun. I'm kind of bored now. What's next? Ooh, this sounds fun. All the hobbies, I think, and all the things I bought. I have so much yarn because I was like, I love crocheting, guys. I don't have time to sit down and crochet. What was I thinking? But I had time in that season, I guess. So when you go to health and you're like moving towards that 5, you're going to have more time to complete the tasks or get more involved in a hobby. And so you can finish projects maybe without losing interest. It really takes lots. It's Drainsville when I'm like, oh, I have to finish that? I have to finish the thing that I started. Okay, fine. And then I just like, if I can do it while I'm watching TV, somehow it's fine. Like, I'll put on a show I like, and I won't be so mad at having to do this right now. Super fine, normal. Okay, when you go in a stressful space, you're gonna go towards a 1, which can be overly critical, focused on perfection, judgmental, cynical, controlling, and your inner critic gets a lot more loud. And some defense mechanisms for a 7, it's funny because 7s are viewed as very positive, right? And we can be very positive. But one of our defense mechanisms is reframing things, which was funny because Jerry was talking about all these cool things that you could do to can't remember even what the message was about. I just focused in on, he said reframing on 7, and I'm a 7, and I reframe everything. I don't really remember the rest of the message, but I got that out of it. So we're masters of reframing, meaning something bad can happen, and it's like, okay, it's fine. It's probably gonna be fine. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna keep going. What am I gonna do? Stop and wallow in this? Definitely not. Which is good maybe if you're helping other people through their problems, but when it's your own, that just means you're kind of ignoring actual issues or problems. Again, escaping hard emotions. When we just don't want to feel them. We want to escape boredom and anything too hard, which I can definitely do really good. We also use humor and sarcasm to deflect anything like heavy. This is why when I'm like, oh, that's a really hard thing, and I'm like, don't crack a joke. Don't lighten, it's fine. We can sit in this for a while. And it's been like 15 seconds, that's a while, right? But, no, stop. So typically we're gonna just reframe, redirect, and lighten it, right? Which is good for some people that are going through hard times. It's great to have people who are encouraging around you. Sometimes it's not the appropriate time, and I've learned that over the years. Don't crack a joke, Shelbi. Just let it be hard for a second. It's gonna be fine. You can't really find anything funny in this. Oh, that person tripped up their word. Nope. Not gonna get me. I'm gonna focus. Okay, so, and then with that core longing of wanting to be taken care of, and if you try to do that outside of Jesus, what message you're getting is that no one can take care of me, no one's going to be able to make me happy or help me avoid pain and discomfort, so I have to do everything myself. You learn not to ask for help or reveal your true side, because a lot of times, as all of these are very stereotypically happy, light, easy, funny, 7s are really charismatic and funny, there's so much more going on under the surface that I don't think that people are fully aware of. I'm not happy all the time. I mean, you can live with me and probably know that. Kinsey knows. Kinsey knows that. My parents, people come up to them, Shelbi's just great. She's like, my mom, yeah, you should try living with her. She's just great all the time. Great. My mom is the 2 and I'm the 7. And I come off a little aggressive sometimes because I am one of the more aggressive types on the Enneagram, and I just deliver her the truth. I'm just being authentic. She's she just will not listen to me, and then 5 years later do the thing I said, and she's like, had you said it nicer, maybe I would have tried it sooner. All right, great. I do really good with hard types. Do really good. Okay, these I just wanted to put up here. These are Enneagram 7 characters, not the actual actors, but the characters, based on Shelbi and Instagram's opinion. Good ones, right? Look at Eleanor, Jake Peralta, Elf. Fun fact, I don't actually love Christmas as much as Elf, but he does. See? Good company. Olaf, who loves warm hugs, I don't know that I'm the hugger, but still, I'll hug people if they come in for a hug for me. Okay, so all of that stuff is kind of the light and fluffy spot of being an Enneagram 7. There's just more to it. So this is kind of where you're oh, my type is this. Instagram is kind of here. If you do your research on Instagram, you're going to see characteristics or behaviors, but you're not going to actually see what's under the surface. There's so much more that comes with each type. And I feel just being empathetic to each of the types that are on, for me personally, the Enneagram has helped me learn why somebody does what they do, and that really helps me to give them grace in that. So as a 2, and I'm trying to communicate with them, and they're crying, and I'm what happened? Why are you crying? Crying is hard, and I don't know how to deal with that right now. But I'm having to realize, oh, they're feeling something, so I'm going to stop and okay, what did I do? What did I say? I'm sorry. That was really aggressive. Or there's just moments where the Enneagram's helped me understand my mom better, helped me understand my dad better, and people that I'm around a lot, I'm able to, it's when you have a kid in kids ministry that's just driving you up a wall, and you just can't. You're I can't peel him off of that thing one more time. If he touches the light switch one more time, I am definitely going to maybe text his mom, okay? But then when you find out the harder story that's going on in that kid's life, it kind of gives you that space, that grace to understand, oh, you have stuff you're going through. And this makes sense as to why this is how you're acting out. It's kind of, to me, I liken it to knowing a little bit more about, like, if I know someone's Enneagram type, I'm going to know how to have grace for them, and I'm also going to know kind of how to relate and communicate with them. Turn off the aggression, but if I'm talking to an 8, I can be as aggressive as I want. They actually thrive in aggressive conversations, so just need to talk to a few more of those and get that out. It's fine. Okay, so just, like, to me, I just want to reflect on that. There's so much more under the surface, and we know that as adults, we know that. But there's just so much more. So, like, assumptions about 7s, there's lots of stuff on here, but I'll just read the ones that, like, I'm 100% happy all the time. Incorrect. I never feel sad. There's days where I'm, like, having a rough day, and people don't even know what to do because I'm just not smiling. Just like, okay, we're gonna not talk tonight. I don't know what's going on. I'm always loud and bubbly. That's kind of true. I must be an extrovert or I'm not a 7. That's not true for me. I do better, actually. I recharge by myself because I'm always on when I'm with people. So I need to be by myself to not have to feel that pressure. Does that make sense? So as somebody who's funny, charismatic, whatever, people expect that from you all the time, so you feel like you need to give that to them all the time. So then when you're by yourself, you're able to not have to be anything anyone wants. Like, I love going to movies by myself because I get to experience the entirety of that movie in my own head and space and not be like, oh, they didn't laugh at that. Did I pick an inappropriate movie again? Really? Sorry about that. Oh, you brought your kid with you. Excellent, cool. We maybe shouldn't see this movie. So I'm a little bit aware of, like, what's going on around me. So I like to go to movies by myself because the experience is just so much more free, I guess. And I'm constantly, like, needing to find that space of freedom. So there's a lot on here, but, like, I can't be serious. I can be serious. I don't care about people. Not true. I do care. Just when I'm stressed, get out of the way. Maybe we just don't talk about the topics we need to talk about, like, during check-in in kids ministry, okay? Because then it's like, no, don't have any sort of extra sympathy or anything right now. So, yeah, no, sorry, no. So, and then this was, to me, spoke a lot. I don't know, this will probably just really help 7s, but for me personally, we kind of are scattered. We're kind of late. I'm late anyways. I don't want to lump you guys in with me if you don't want to be, but I'm late to a lot of things. I'm scattered. I'm not really considered organized. And I think a lot of people, because I'm fun and light, that a lot of people don't expect depth from me. But that's not actually the case. Like, I am a thinker. It might seem like I'm floating through life from whim to whim. It does seem like that. Because I tend to take action on my ideas, but deep down I'm quite cerebral. Like, I'm thinking about it, I'm processing it, and I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe it's so that I can have fun, but we don't need to know that. I like to have fun, but I don't like to feel pressure to always be the fun one. I want to hear your opinions. I will for sure interject mine. I just will. I feel like it's helpful. Why would I hold that back? You need to know the gold that I have inside. But I'm super willing to hear other people's opinions. And I don't think I always have it right. I do think I'm right a lot, but I don't think I'm always right. So I do want to hear other people's opinions, especially in kids ministry where collaboration mode. I'm like, give me your ideas. Like, we don't have to do it my way all the time. This is just the way we've always done it. The primary negative emotion I express is frustration. That one hit home for me a lot. Like, I'm not always, like, mad per se. I'm just, like, frustrated by something. But it's not the only emotion that I feel. I give 100% to anything I truly believe I'm in. I'm loyal. So, like, commitment is kind of a hard thing for 7s, as you could tell by my Loki meme. It's like, whatever you say will determine what I say. Or if there's something more fun to do, I'm going to go do that thing. Not true. I try to stay committed to the things that I've said yes to. I may have said yes to 5 things, so I have to live however many lives that means, and be there late for this one thing and be like, sorry, I can only be 15 minutes because I have to go to this next thing that I'm going to also be late to, and then I can only do like a half an hour here. Depending on what it is, you try to stay as long as you can, you know? I've learned not to do that as much anymore because I want to give people my full attention and be present. Sometimes that doesn't work. I see all the options and I want to explore them. I ask a lot of questions because I'm curious and I like to learn things. I'm not clueless, I'm just discovering new ideas. I do kind of sound like an idiot sometimes because I ask questions and people are like, how don't you know that? I'm like, well, I just don't know. I don't know. If it's about the computer, I for sure don't know it. That's not my jam. A car? What does it sound like? Like there's something wrong with it. Literally every time I go to AutoZone, the guy's always like, can I help you with that? I'm like, yes. Yeah. I'm not too proud to say yes for help for that. If I'm sarcastic about how I'm feeling, pay attention. There might be something there. Sometimes I don't even know. One of like the questions that puts me into an existential crisis sometimes is, how are you? That's it. How are you? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't stopped to think about that. I am tired. Always. What's something I can say that's true? I'm tired. Yeah, that's true. I can do that one because I have like a quadruple life. It's fine. If you want me on board, talk to me. Don't try to force me into doing anything. Not gonna happen. Okay? If you consider me and make me feel like I'm part of that decision, I can be on board so quick. But the second it's like, we decided you're gonna go do this. Come again? I'm gonna need a whole lot of coaching in like the why part of that. That's my question a lot. Oh yeah, but why do I have to do that? Well, because, I'm not feeling committed. I'm feeling like I'm gonna have a really bad attitude about that. It's okay. Okay, so all of this to say, our identity in Jesus, that's where it's found, right? It's found in Jesus, not our Enneagram type. What's beautiful about this is I feel like it gives me permission to be who I really am. I think there's a lot of ways, even just in the church, how we're supposed to behave. There's all these should-bes. And I've learned a while ago that I can't keep chasing after who I should be. I need to actually accept who I am. Jesus accepts me where I'm at, and I'm going to continue to strive and run after Jesus, but I like having the permission to be who I am in the process of that. And I want to loose you guys as well that you have traits and qualities that maybe other people don't jive with, but that doesn't mean that they're bad traits and bad qualities. God uses it all, and as long as we keep running towards him, he's going to continue to help us grow. Jesus is where that growth is at, right? And I'm not trying to be like Christianese and churchy, and I want to be authentically myself. I feel like that's what's most important to me. And it's really important. I would hope it's important to every type on the Enneagram, right? And ultimately the Enneagram, I don't know how far back it is, so I'm not going backwards. Oh, maybe I can. Look at me, technology. No? Yeah. See how there's like 9 types on here, right? This is the picture of like God's wholeness. All types combined bring different qualities of God's character. So as a 7, like we have joy and abundance, right? But as a 6, there's loyalty. There's so many different traits that each type has, and the complete picture shows you the character of Jesus. Not just because it's the Enneagram. What I'm saying is we need all types in all areas, in all spaces, because each type is valuable, and each type brings a different part of God's character. So all of the idiosyncrasies and the weird traits that you feel like you have, that maybe other people don't understand, it's there for a reason. It's important that you have those things, and it's important that you show those things. We don't, like this, for me, the Enneagram helped me break out of a box that I was putting myself in. I feel like Jesus led me to it. I feel like God was there in the midst of it. But this was a tool that helped me see, like, okay, I can be all of those things. A lot of times I feel like I'm too much. That's a message I get a lot. In my mind, probably the enemy. That, or I'm not enough. I'm like, how can you do both of those things? Like, inaccurate. You can't do both. Those don't make sense. Those are perpendicular to each other. Okay. So, just all that to say, like, God speaks your truth and identity. And you need to show up as your authentic self. And maybe God's still working on you in certain areas. There's obedience, yes. There's all those things that we want to lean into with Jesus. But if anything else that you get from this, just have the permission to be who God created you to be. Because it's important that it's not by accident that you are born in this time, to the parents you have, the way you look, the voice you have. All of those things were hand-chosen, hand-picked and designed by God. So it's important to show those things, because God did that for a reason. You're here in this space for a reason. So, just that. Some scriptures that speak to my heart. Wait, I have to go way far now. Go. You could do it. Oh, this is a quote I love too. So without Jesus, we are all running away from our core fears, towards our core desires, and in the process, we stumble over our core weaknesses, all in an attempt to have our core longings met outside of Jesus. So, pretty sure Psalm 37:4 is a very 70 type scripture, but I love a lot of it after that too, so just needed to put that there. But delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. As a 7 who's like, yeah, let's go do all the things and have all the fun. Love that part. Sometimes we forget about delighting ourselves in the Lord, however, which takes pausing, which takes hearing and listening. Commit your way to the Lord and trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently before him. I think in a world like we have, that's busy and go, it's good to have any sort of reminder that reminds us to be still and to be patient. This one's longer. I just love Isaiah 61. For me, it's been kind of a life verse, but there's parts in it that really spoke to my not wanting to see hard things, do hard things, be bored. So the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to grant those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, and they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. This is all of us. This isn't just, I almost touched it, that'd be bad. This isn't just 7s. I think that as just Jesus followers, we all need to have this encouragement inside of us that we're just freely giving to anyone we encounter. When it talks about all of these things, like binding up the brokenhearted, bringing good news, setting free the captives, all of those things are like those positive moments, those hope that we're delivering to anyone who needs it. But then also there's that moment of pause to know what your ashes are. If he's exchanging beauty for ashes, I need to know what my ashes are, and like at least acknowledge them, right? I struggle here. Here's my mess, my anxiety today, I definitely did this thing. Like, I swore on the road today. I'm so sorry, Lord. Like, the things that we do in a real way, the ashes of our life, we want to exchange those things because God is all about the sweet exchange. We give him that crap, and he gives us this beautiful crown. So he wants to exchange, but sometimes we think we have to carry that all ourselves. That's gross. Like, nobody wants to deal with this. But God's just waiting for you to hand over any of your anxiety, any of the things that you're carrying, so that you can experience that sweet exchange. And then this one was probably one of the first verses. I didn't even try to memorize it. It just kind of happened because I feel like anxiety is under the surface of a 7 all the time. Anxiousness is just always there. And when I'm running late and I'm like, not again, all that anxiety kicks back in. All the lies of the enemy come in, like, oh, you're so dumb. How are you doing this again? All of these things. Everybody's going to be so mad when you get there, when nobody probably is actually going to notice. So that anxiousness was something I was struggling with a lot, and I just didn't even know how to put a name to it. I honestly, until I tested as a 6, was like, I'm not an anxious person. Again, my 8 friend, who's like, okay, so you say words like overwhelmed and stressed and words like that a lot? Yeah. That's anxiousness. Oh, okay. I guess I'm a little anxious sometimes. Weird how this verse speaks so much to me. But do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. To me, this spoke to me because there was constantly anxiousness. Now it's to the point where I'm like, okay, you said pray about, what did you say? Wait a second. But in everything by prayer and supplication. So I was like, okay, I'm getting ready for work. God, I can't find my leggings. I'm going to be so late if I don't find my leggings. I need you to help. Wait, Lord, please help me find my leggings today. Thank you. No joke, I would find them so much faster if I had just stayed in my stress ball of can't find my keys. Lord, I need you. I need you. I'm going to be late if I don't find my keys, and I'm pretty sure they're going to notice this time. Please help me find my keys. Honestly, in everything that I become anxious about, and I think it's a good reminder for me. I don't know that that's actually true, but I know that in everything I can come to him. Big, small, and indifferent. He's there. He wants to be there with you in every single moment, so why wouldn't we give him anything that brings us to that space? So, that's, I think, pretty much it. Hold on, let me see if there's any other slides. Nope, it won't go anywhere. So, if you are a 7, be encouraged. If you're not a 7, I just wanted to also express that if you're a 7, I felt like God was speaking that you're an oasis in the middle of a desert. When I hang out with my friends that are 7s, I honestly feel so encouraged and so ready to my dreams are inflating again. I'm I haven't dreamt in forever, but I feel like I have all these goals and hopes and dreams now because I got to spend some time and you were able to help see through the anxiousness of my day to inspire and bring courage. I think encouragement is huge, and that's what we need a lot in our relationships with each other. And I don't think that's just for 7s. God just kept speaking oasis over this whole entire night, just to be that refreshing, to be the living water, and to continue to help people just to be restored. And people need courage to get through the hard stuff, the desert of the world. It's dry out there, it's hot, it's messy. An oasis in the middle of a desert is going to have lush trees, and there's plants, and there's waterfall, there's a water source. That's what God's calling us to be to the world that's only experiencing drought. So I just wanted to encourage you guys in that, to take a word of encouragement. Pick one person tonight before you go to bed to encourage, and call out something that's below the surface, something on that iceberg that's not just what everyone else can see. For the longest time, I thought the only thing people knew about me was that I like bacon. Literally, we played a game at Young Adults when I was a leader, and it was a leader night, and we were playing, is it psychiatrist, and it's okay, just be the person on your left, and anybody who is I guess on my right in that case would be I love bacon. Bacon's just so good. I like working with kids. There's so much more to me than that. I do love bacon. And they could probably guess who you are right now, but can you pick anything else? No, you don't know. So finding those qualities of someone that you know or maybe don't know well, and speaking life. Because we don't know what anybody's going through. A lot of times we walk around like we've got it all together. I'm pretty sure people don't think I have it all together. I mean, at least from the trail of stuff I leave everywhere, they're not thinking that I'm all together. So reach out and encourage someone, because I think, honestly, you guys are all equipped to do that. And that's a purpose that you can have. You may not know the career, you may not know all the steps and what the puzzle looks like all put together. But a piece of it can definitely be to encourage. So, and I did have, before I go, I'm going to pray, but I felt like I had a word for Josh, because it's going to be his birthday on Sunday, and so I was like, Lord, give me a word, Lord, give me a word. So first, happy birthday on Sunday. Yay! So while we were in worship, I felt like God wanted to call you into that, and it's easy to use your name, but I wanted to look up what your name meant. And it meant Yahweh of salvation and Yahweh of deliverance. And I feel like there's things in your life that just you continue to hit up against that you haven't felt freedom from. And that God wants to bring you that freedom, but not only does he want to give you that freedom to be truly who you are, but he also wants to create a space for you to be the deliverer of that freedom as well. That he wants you to conquer. There's certain things he wants you to conquer, areas that you might have influence in, or people that you might know that might need that hope and to be set free, that only you can get to. So I feel like God wants to use you to go into those places that maybe nobody here would step foot in. I have no idea. But God's calling you to that. But first, I feel like he wants to take you into a season where he wants to set you free from some things. And in the midst of that, he needs your complete obedience. When he says something to you, you need to obey and then continue to trust and walk that out. Because it's in that obedience that's going to come that freedom. Do you receive that? Is that okay? Is that a little, sorry to call you out. I know that's not your favorite. You're welcome. There's your present. Happy birthday. Okay, I'm just going to pray and then we can release. Cool? Okay, God, we just thank you so much for being able to come to this space and just to worship you. And God, I just pray right now that you would just loose just the permission for each person here to be authentically themselves. God, that if it's not a number on the Enneagram, that's super fine because that's not what it's all about. God, that each personality trait, even eye color, hair color, the way their voice sounds is chosen by you, so we shouldn't beat it up. I feel like there's a lot of us in this space that we look in the mirror and tear ourselves down, or in our minds we tear ourselves down, but really we're tearing down a creation of God. So Lord, I pray you would bring just a restoration to our eyes and to our minds to be able to see ourselves as you've made us, and in turn to be able to see others as how you've made them. Lord, I pray you would commission us tonight. Help us to see under the surface and to be able to speak life to the places that need life. And maybe that person isn't even walking out that encouragement, but it's speaking to a potential and it's planting a seed of hope in their heart that they need to be able to overcome whatever's going on in their life. So God, I just pray you would use each and every one of us to be that oasis, to be that encouragement. And then we know all of it, in everything we do and everything we say, may it continually point back to you, glorify you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thanks, y'all, for letting me be a 7-ish up here. Thank you, Varma.